Okay, thank you. My name's Sebastian. I am a compulsive eater. Hi, everyone. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the Cambridge Grey Sheet. I write those meals down. I turn them over to my sponsor. I don't eat anything in between those meals, no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life today. And it is a miracle that I'm here. Like, really, this is higher power that I'm here. And yesterday I celebrated 9 months of back-to-back Grey Sheet abstinence. So that's like, Dave, I don't know if Dave knew when he asked me that it was 9 months yesterday. Like, so he asked me at the same time that it was 9 months, which is like a miracle. And there's just my whole Grey Sheet journey has just been full of miracles. And I Yeah, tomorrow I'm traveling. Well, I'm going to a convention. I'm going to, yeah, and so for me to do this qualification is helping me to keep my abstinence first. It's keeping me where I need to be. I've had my three weighted and measured meals today, and I need to prepare. And pray, protect, and all that stuff. And being here is helping me do that because I'm someone who likes to do everything all at the same time. Um, I can't just do one thing. So Grey Sheet's helping me stay still and keep what matters, like the most important thing first, and which is recovery. Really, that's what recovery is. And yeah, I was when Dave asked me, I thought about so many things I could say. I made a load of notes, but I'm not even going to use them. And I sort of wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to have anything to say. But then, yeah, I spoke to my sponsor and he was like, um, you've definitely got something to say. And when I think about my journey in Grey Sheet, I definitely have like a story. And how I got here. So all I can do is do my best to try and share that, right? So yeah, I remember my first, it's interesting because my first memory with food was an abstinent item of food, but it was being forced into my mouth. And so I think I kind of had maybe a weird relationship with food from straight away where I didn't want to eat because part of my compulsive eating is not eating and sort of bulimia as well. And eating. I grew up eating non-abstinent food, and I thought that was like normal, but I thought a lot of things were normal. But I didn't know until I came to recovery that, I have an addiction, and I saw Grey Sheet in another fellowship. Um, I always gravitated to obviously like, carbohydrate, sugary foods. I ate those foods. They're always what I wanted to eat. And I remember like it would never be enough when I did eat. People would comment like, like you always want more food. Um, and and yeah, I never really had a healthy relationship with food. I never learned how to prepare food. I never learned how to look after myself. I never learned how to make like decent meals. And, like part of growing up, you see everyone growing up around you, like getting married, getting jobs and all that kind of stuff. Right. I think part of like taking care of myself, like I never learned how to do that. Like the most important thing, I never learned that. Nobody ever showed me. I did have meals with my family, but obviously, it was, and I think that's part of my Grey Sheet abstinence as well. Like where I miss sort of like family, I get that. I get that here with you. You're my family. I get to have those three weight and measure meals a day, you know. So I don't have to like that's a really important part of life. I feel like, I really feel that inside of me. That's like part of who I am. And yeah, I saw Grey Sheet first at a convention, but I didn't really know they were Grey Sheeters. And this guy said to me, like, whoa, they're extreme, they're a bit like sort of I don't know over the top. Can't remember the word he used, but it was like they're a bit kind of sad what they do. Like that kind of way of talking about it, and that was all I didn't really know anything about Grey Sheet, just that it wasn't. maybe the best thing for me to do at that time because of what this guy said to me. And that was about, I don't know, 7 years ago. And then, well, it just wasn't my time. That's why. It just wasn't my time. That's why. And then a few years like later, sort of during lockdown, I got connected through another fellowship, and I did a workshop with a member around food, a 12-step workshop, and I think that sort of woke something up inside me. And there was another member who's in this room, who was on a different workshop, who did mention to me about Grey Sheet, because I kind of was aware that I was eating on my emotions, and but I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, and there was another guy, and he said, "Why don't you join Grey Sheet?" And he was trying to show me to eat like healthy food. So he joined, and I joined with him, like this WhatsApp group, like the Men's European WhatsApp group. And I asked someone to sponsor me, and I just wasn't really ready. And then I asked somebody else, and they showed me the Grey Sheet, and I was like, this is just too overwhelming. I couldn't get it. I was like, all I needed to do was go and buy some scales. And so anyway, a year later, after like the biggest amount of addiction that I could consume with nobody to tell me that I couldn't do it, and being in lockdown, nothing else to do, more than enough money to spend on that, I couldn't. It ended with me not being able to go to the toilet for like 4 days, going to A&E, getting laxatives. It just wasn't good. It was scary for me. Like I really thought, I was getting some symptoms in my stomach. I thought my stomach was broken. I didn't think I was going to be able to eat again. And it got really bad, and I didn't know what else to do. And I knew a guy who was in one of these 12-step workshops, and he'd been in Grey Sheet for like a year. And he just said, he didn't like, he was just like, he understands basically. And I was like, please just help me get through one day. Because I thought if I'm going to die, I may as well try Grey Sheet before I'm going to die, because it might work. If it's working for these guys, it might work for me. So I went, and he sent me the email with all the information, sent me like, and we just got started straight away, like, and he just helped me one meal at a time. And I was going through so much at that time. Like my mum died, I was living in a YMCA, I was faced with homelessness. And I was going through the biggest changes in my life. And I just think it's a miracle, because I was speaking to guys in this fellowship on the phone, and I could really feel in my heart that, that God was in my heart, and that, these guys were helping me. So I started the Grey Sheet, and he sent me the Grey Sheet, and my journey began. And it helped me with my other fellowship as well, because I was going to that fellowship, and then I met another sponsor, and then my abstinent date is the 28th of September 2021. And I've never really looked back, and it's been hard. It's been really, really hard. Like there's been times when I'm just like, the pressure of like the fellowship or whatever it is, like just to be like, I have to do this no matter what, even if I've made so many mistakes, but it's like, I'm going to keep doing this. It doesn't matter. Like it had to get to the point for me where it didn't matter about my abstinent date. It was like, as long as I eat abstinent today and I do my best and I keep trying, that's the only thing. And I just had to keep going like that. And the support and the love of this fellowship and the people, like, just honestly, like, people have helped me so much. And I wanted to give this away, because I wanted people to have what I have was getting from this. And I met somebody in recovery, anonymous, and they, we had similar interests, and they paid for my flight to go to the Texas GreySheeters Anonymous retreat. And I went to the London roundup, and somebody stayed at my house. We went together, and Texas was amazing. Like, it was like, for some reason, it's part of my higher powers plan, and I felt so free there, and I was like weighing and measuring my food like 40,000 feet in the air. And even that was a miracle, because at the London Roundup, I won a pair of scales, And when I was 40,000 feet in the air, because I had two sets of scales in me, my scales weren't working, they were going crazy because of the altitude. But luckily, the scales that I won at the roundup, they worked, and I was able to weigh and measure my food. And yeah, I
10
prepared.
minutes,
Thank,
Sebastian.
thank you. And I prepared my food, and like I love this. Like even though it's been really difficult and scary, and like it's been really hard to deal with the emotions of like all of how the difficult it is. Like I love, I've enjoyed like the sort of challenge and the mission of like preparing all this food and taking it abroad and going through customs and like, it's like a real mission and like going through that together with like, other fellows and like, yeah, and just I remember like last time I went away, I had some challenges there and I was on my own, in a country where, and I had to face all my fears. I had to go get my shopping, try and find somewhere to weigh and measure my food. People didn't speak English. I asked somebody in like a restaurant, and I was like, if I buy something from your restaurant, will you let me weigh and measure my own food? And they were so kind to me. They were like, oh, you can just eat your own food in here. It's okay. And they gave me, everything I needed, like fork, spoon, and stuff. But I don't think they realized what me eating my own food was. So once I got it all out, they were like, can you move over there away from the like camera? And I was like, okay. And then I got to the airport, and then I was like, sometimes I feel the pressure of doing it around people. So this isn't like the most attractive thing, but I weighed and measured my meal in the disabled toilet because I had a nice big windowsill and a sink, and I was like, this it didn't smell very nice in there, but I just wanted to eat. At that point, I'd had that day where I was just like, I just want to get an abstinent meal in me. I'm not going to eat in here, but I've got everything I need, and I'm going to do it. And my sponsor was laughing at me because he was like, I don't know why people like want to join GreySheet for your example, like of just chaos, like like because I've met like a lot of people who've like been interested in GreySheet because for whatever reason, like maybe there's a higher power or whatever, and I'm just so grateful for this, and like now it's happened again that anonymously someone's paid for me to go to Mexico City GreySheet retreat, and that was in my heart, like you know, like it was like in my heart, like it was like a calling, and I didn't know how I was going to get there, and I didn't ask anyone, I didn't think anyone would do that again, like it happened once, but I didn't think it could happen again. And somebody just said, like, look, I'll get your flight, and I was just like, wow, like it's unbelievable. And then the men's retreat in New Jersey came up, and that's the weekend before. So I'm flying from here. Well, I'm going to the Spanish Grey retreat. This is all God willing, obviously, if everything goes how it's like supposed to. And then I'm going to the men's New Jersey retreat, and then I'm flying from there to Mexico City. And it's just like I need that level of recovery to stay abstinent. I really need that. Like that's how I feel in here. And God's just like it says in the big book, my job, someone said it earlier, my job is to stay sober. My job in GreySheet is to stay abstinent. If I do that, if I put that first, I truly believe, and it's my experience, that God will provide everything I need. If I stick close to Him and perform His work well, and that's what I've seen. And I guess that's my message. And I'm just so grateful to be here, and just this is a life like not even beyond my wildest dreams. It's more than that, and I don't think I could put it into words, but hopefully you can understand. And thank you so much for letting me be here and then share.